Y'all killing me with this.
I ended up coming across the canceled podcast from seeing like a clip on Twitter or something like that, right? And the clip was basically just Tana kind of apologizing to the camera. I saw the tweets that Brooke posted back in the day. They were horrific. I'm mortified, you know. It's like the cookie cutter influencer apology, right? So I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Dug into it, ended up seeing the risky tweets. Brooke, apparently, this girl was like sending out more racist tweets than Donald Trump back in the day, dude. This girl was really getting loose on Twitter with the fucking keyboard fingers, you know what I mean? Dropping hard R's, all sorts of shit. So I kind of found that a little interesting. I'm like, oh man, this girl's getting the axe. I'm not even an episode in. I'm like, what am I about to get myself into here? So, but then after doing a little bit of digging, I kind of found it a little odd because Tana had a little bit of a past as well. You know what I mean? Like, if you go on Google, we'll do this right now. Tanaj Mojo, racist tweets. Let's see what we end up coming up with here. We can go to images, and you could see, look, one of the first images we pull up here. Tanaj Mojo with some good old racist tweets. So let's check this out. If you're just listening, this is ironic because I'm about to read you these tweets, and Tana's name on Twitter is Black Lives Matter. Okay, right? So she's like sending a reply to somebody named Amari Stewart, which I'm coming to find out she's like friends with. She's still friends with them. Doesn't make these tweets any less risky here. So the first one we got on the left, she's adding him, you know, she's throwing the ats at him, and she's calling him a cotton picker. That's bad enough. I don't know this Amari guy. I don't even know what he looks like, but I'm going to guess he's black just because of these tweets, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to not do the math on this one. Now, this next one's even richer. And like I said, mind you, her display name on Twitter is Black Lives Matter. You know what I mean? And she's sending out these tweets. Now, this next one, you know, you might have to sit down for this one. It's a little risky. It says, at Amari Stewart, I have a puzzle for you. Imari equals _IG _ER. Now, if you're just listening at home, what we have here is a real Wheel of Fortune type situation here. There's no vowels left, you know, because they're all on the board. So what you have is you have just two random guesses that you have to figure out. And I'll remind you of the puzzle. Imari equals _IG _ER. Right? Picture that in your mind. And try to take a guess as to what those two missing letters are and what this word might end up spelling, right? So we're obviously not dealing with the same here. So when I saw that, I got very intrigued, right? And that got me to wanting to check out that apology video. I was like, wait, where's this apology? Like, I want to see like how Tana actually handled this whole situation, right?
Hello and welcome back to the Canceled Podcast. Obviously, as you guys can see, I am alone on this couch. Brooke is not here with us today, and I want to be abundantly clear that was my decision. We all saw the tweets, and they're fucked up, and they're horrific, and I'm saying that as a white person.
Were they as fucked up as the tweets that you sent to Amari? I mean, come on here. I'm just doing like quick math. You know, I'm not even heavily invested in this show yet. Like I said, this seems too juicy not to watch this. You know, I don't know how I missed it for so long. But so she's saying that she's like, man, as a white person, I'm mortified. I mean, did you forget about your tweets? But that's beside the point, right? Brooke is the one who did something bad. We're not focusing on Tana. Brooke is the one who did something bad, but because Brooke's the co-host, Tana has to have like some level of responsibility, I guess. I don't really care for all this cancel culture stuff, so I don't give a shit about how this works. To me, It's dumb. If you did something, all right, apologize for it, but you don't have to get like real, like, oh man, I'm sorry. It was mortifying. It was terrible. I hope she never does it again. As a white person, I think every black person deserves better. Everyone can see through your act. Nobody's believing these influencer apology videos. You know what I mean? So let's check out a little bit more of Tana's awesome ass apology.
Right? Like, I cannot even imagine being a black non-fan or fan and reading those tweets. And I've made it very clear to Brooke as well that I condemn her for these tweets, and they're fucking horrible, and I have no right to forgive her as a white person for the things that she said.
God damn, dude. So I'm going to tell you right there, that's some pretty heavy shit. Like, to say to somebody that you condemn them, that's not really like a light connotation. You know what I mean? Like, so think about it like God. You know what I mean? When he condemned Lucifer, that motherfucker fell out of the sky. Like, and I'm not a religious person, but what I'm getting at here is that that's not a very light phrase. You don't just throw that around. I condemn someone, right? So she obviously must really mean this apology. As you can see here, she's broken up over it. She's fucking having a time over this whole situation. But then when I watch this, like I said, I don't really fall for the influencer apologies, right? So I kind of got to thinking, let me type into Google search Tanaj Mojo apology and see what happens. This chick has been apologizing like pretty much since she became an influencer. Like, so you have right here the first video that shows up, 4.2 million views, Tanaj Mojo page, 7 years ago, an apology. Right underneath it, 4 years ago, 2.2 million views, a long overdue apology. Well, you scroll down, right down here, 2 more videos down, Tanaj Mojo, 2.2 million views, 8 years ago, the truth. And an apology. You know what I mean? So this chick has been apologizing like nonstop, right? So like when the whole Brooke thing happened, at least from the little bit of research that I did, it seemed like Brooke was done. And it seemed to me that a lot of the fans thought that Brooke was done too. And you watch that apology video that we just got done feasting our eyes on. I mean, it seems like Tana's like, all right, let's cut ties with this chick and let's move on and keep the money flowing, because that's really all these guys care about. That's the only reason she's apologizing. I'm going to tell you that right now. If she knew that the fans weren't going to care and that maybe she might not lose sponsorships and stuff like that over this whole situation with Brooke, Tanaj would not give 2 shits. I'll tell you that first and foremost. So let's get into the time codes of this episode. This is the latest episode of the Canceled Podcast that I'm happening to see. It's the latest one that came out when this recording happened. And I'll tell you right now, homegirl, they look very much like nothing happened. You know what I mean? 2 peas in a pod, if you will.
So then I start obviously sending them down.
Oops. I'm sorry, I was in the middle of watching it earlier. Let's start from the beginning. We need the genesis.
Hello and welcome back to the Canceled Podcast. I'm like, do you see her? See, there she is, y'all.
Oh man, look at Tanaj, very happy that Brooke's back, and I guess we are too. You know, I don't know Brooke that well, so I'm cool. I'm cool with it. She's cool in my book as of now. I don't know her all that well. So, you know, a couple racist tweets, that means very little to a guy like me. I mean, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm not black, but I've been dealing with racism all my life too. People say, you know how many times I've been called a Mexican? You know how many times I've been mistaken for a Mexican? And I'm not talking mustache days. This is pre-mustache. You think I had this mustache all my life when I was a kid growing up? Always getting called Mexican. I grew up in a predominantly white area, you know, so I forgive them. They know not what they do. But let's check out these two, this nice reuniting. And it feels so good.
Yeah, squash the rumors. I am not yet kicked off the Canceled Podcast.
Dude, so First of all, I was just in Europe and a couple days ago, I shot an episode with Paige and Amari. And
Amari. So, I mean, obviously that racism probably wasn't rooted in hate, but that's still very, very spicy words to be thrown out in a public forum like Twitter. You know what I mean? So can we forgive her? I don't know. But we're not focusing on that. I wanted to zoom in on this shirt right here. This is irony at its best, in my opinion. So Tana, you can't see it because she's got the little scrunch. She's kind of sitting bent down. So you know when you get that crease in your stomach and the flabs, they kind of suck in the shirt. You know what I mean? She's got those big old honkers. So you kind of can't really see the letters on the shirt all that well. But it says, "Only God can cancel me." You know, that's a very, very, it's like a statement piece. You know what I mean? Like she's not only doing fashion, but she's kind of saying like, hey man, she could send out a couple racist tweets. You know, I could send out a couple racist tweets. I'll give you guys an apology like I know you guys want. At the end of the day, I'm going to have whoever the fuck I want on this. As long as those sponsors keep coming, the money stays the same. Shit, you guys can get 1,000 apologies out of me. All right? Only God can cancel my ass. So let's check these two out. Happy, peas in a pot.
I said everything that I'm about to re-say again, but then obviously I flew home and I was like, why am I going to put out another episode that's just going to like fuel these rumors more and like get a bunch more hate?
People
and like
think we're really beefing.
All right.
I mean, obviously that just...
People think that they're really beefing. But now they're back together. It's a very, very happy story. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh man, a couple crazy tweets, man. I don't think the fans are going to cancel her just yet. And I'm not invested in the show enough to really give a shit about this girl. And then I kept listening because I was like, there's got to be something, man. It's called the Canceled Podcast. Like, why? It's got to be called the Canceled Podcast for a reason, right? These girls got to be talking about the craziest antics, you know? And as I kept watching, I ended up stumbling upon this one story that Brooke was telling where she almost ended up poisoning her cat. And I was like, damn, man, if this girl can't catch a break, because if the fans don't get her over the racist tweets, I mean, Peter might come after this bitch for the cat. Because when you hear this shit was not accidental, man. Like, I mean, it was accidental, but it kind of wasn't. I'm leaving you with cliffhangers. Let's get to the clip. You'll see what I'm talking about here.
So I told the whole story already, but he ate a Wellbutrin and then a 300 milligram Wellbutrin. He's only 4 pounds. Okay. Because I think he has like pica or something. He will eat everything.
What's
like
pica?
Where you like people who eat like
inanimate
feathers.
objects?
Yeah.
Inanimate objects? That's so funny. Listening to these two, like having to talk about anything that involves like a tiny bit of thinking, it's like watching a like intellectual gladiator battle. You know what I mean? Like they're sitting there asking each other about pica, and I'm like, which one's gonna win? Like which one's gonna say it first? Which one's gonna think that they know what pica is, and then just say some outlandishly dumb shit? And I love how Tana phrases it, because she's kind of not wrong, but she says, is that like when you eat like inanimate objects? Like, is it, how the fuck, that is one hell of a way to phrase that shit. But I'll take it. I mean, you know, so now I'll explain to you what's going on here. Brooke's talking about how she has like a 4-week-old cat or something like that. You know, it's very small, it's kitten. But it's like one of those Bengal cats, like those really expensive looking exotic cats. I mean, those things are practically like wild animals. You can't, you got to have like enough space for them to run around. Eventually, I think she mentions it here, after like 6 months to a year, like you got to feed those bastards raw meat. Like you can't just be giving them no, kitty kibbles and bits, whatever it is that, dry food bullshit. These guys got to eat like that good protein. So she's sitting there saying how this cat has so much energy, how it always wants to eat, and how it'll just eat anything that gets dropped on the floor. So she's talking about how she dropped like a 300 milligram Wellbutrin on the floor. This cat ended up gobbling that thing up before it even hit the ground. You know what I mean? So that's where we're at right now. And I'll tell you this right now. that Wellbutrin is not responsible for the poisoning. Okay, so let's hold on to this story.
Like not food.
I'm close to Pika.
So he he ate an entire
Like eating
bouquet of
tahini
roses
raw.
the other day. Like there's nothing that he won't eat. You know what I mean? So if he hears a tap on, like I dropped my pill on the ground, I'm not even kidding. I don't even think it hit the ground before it like was down his esophagus. And I freak out, obviously. So then I go on this emergency pet service. Like I literally Google like emergency like poison control.
Okay, let's hold on to that. Now it sounds like she's doing the right thing. This cat ate a Wellbutrin. She's freaking out. She goes online. She goes, hey, clickety clack on the keyboard. Where's the emergency pet control or whatever, emergency service? You know what I mean? This cat very well might be poisoned. I need to take care of this. So far, so good.
And I find this service, first thing I find, and you have to pay for it first, which already like, what the fuck do you mean I'm gonna have to type in all my information if I think my animal is about to die? Okay.
It's like those websites where you try to find people's like phone numbers and.
Yeah, so I start talking to this girl and she's like,
Okay, so now here's where things start taking a little bit of a left turn. She goes online. She starts talking about how she finds this emergency service, but oddly enough, you have to like pay and type in all the information. Like your cat could be having like a stroke. You know what I mean? Like make sure that card ends up going through before we give you any type of any information. We cannot help you unless that plastic is hot. You know what I mean? If that shit comes back bounced, sorry, Charlie, you got to go. Like that. Good luck with your cat. So that's a big red flag right there. You know what I mean? It's not many. I mean, I can't think of an ambulance that's going to make sure that you got good plastic on you before they give you a ride to the hospital. You know what I mean? It's just not the way that medical services work. And just because it's a vet doesn't make it, too much different. So that's a big red flag right there. So when I heard that, I'm like, where did she get this emergency service from? Now, when you hear it, you're going to be like, this chick is absolutely retarded. Wait until you hear this shit.
tablespoon of hydrogen peroxide. Okay.
Oh, I don't know how that ended up skipping ahead, but let's listen to it now.
About to die. Okay.
It's like those websites where you try to find people's like phone numbers and.
Yeah, so I start talking to this girl and she's like, tablespoon of hydrogen peroxide, okay? Because that makes animals throw up. So I didn't.
Okay, right there. Now, this person that she talked to, after paying the money and filling out this long form to get this emergency service, like, hey, what happened to your cat? Now this lady, after hearing that the cat ate a Wellbutrin, tells her to give her cat a tablespoon of hydrogen peroxide to make it throw up. Now, I hear something like that, I'm going to start asking questions. I don't know about anybody else, but that's going to seem, I'm going to be like, hydrogen peroxide. Like, I cannot think of a single time where you should drink hydrogen peroxide. Let's have a little bit of common sense here. So, she hears that. Let's see what she does.
I didn't have it, but Amanda had it. Amanda's not home. I have to have the person downstairs come up, unlock her unit. I'm sifting through her cabinets. I get hydrogen peroxide and I give him a tablespoon, okay?
She gives the cat a table. Jesus, what is happening here? Okay. Does the cat survive? I guess is the next question that we should ask ourselves. Who knows?
Unlock her unit. I'm sifting through her cabinets. I get hydrogen peroxide and I give him a tablespoon, okay? And he's just doing flips around the apartment, all right? He is not throwing up. There's nothing about it. And time is passing and I'm like, oh my God. Like I'm freaking out because he's not throwing up. So I'm messaging this person. They ghost me. Completely ghost me. So then I start obviously sending them death threats because I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? You're an emergency veterinary service. I tell you that my animal is maybe poisoned and you're just ghosting me. They wrote me back literally like an hour later saying like, sorry, I had a family situation. I'm like, suing. Doesn't matter.
Okay, so now she's still like in distress here. She's like, man, I can't believe that like you had me do all that. My cat, this kind of screwed up, man. Like you ghosted me like that after telling me to basically poison my cat, right? So you end up finding out, she'll say it in a second, but she starts like passively talking back and forth to Tana, and Tana's like, where did you hear about this? And she just says real quick, she's like, I found it on like a forum or something like that. So this chick she types in emergency pet service on Google, right? She finds all these links, probably sees the links where people are asking the question, does anyone know where I can contact an emergency pet service, right? Those are links from like a site like Quora. You know, Quora is like a forum site where people just ask random ass questions for other random ass people online to answer them. So she ends up finding just some random link, probably through a forum site like Quora, and now she completely entrusts this random link and all the whoever's on the other end of that thing to give her information on saving her cat after eating this Wellbutrin. That is just wild to me. Listen to it out the horse's mouth.
By that point, I'd already obviously called ASPCA. ASPCA told me to go to the animal hospital. I went to the animal hospital. They said, no, you need to go to the emergency room. So I took him to the emergency room, and they take him back. They assess him, whatever. They come out and they tell me, you know what? He needs to spend the night. Why does he need to spend the night, you ask? Because he had a tablespoon of fucking hydrogen peroxide. Not because he had a 300 milligram Wellbutrin. Okay? That woman, that stupid idiot fucking woman, and I won't name her by name because we're not bullying anymore. She gave me advice that you give that to a dog. Like, that's what makes a dog throw up. For cats, like, they were like, he can have like ulcers. Like, there's a lot of things that can happen. So we just want to monitor him. Guess how much money I spent for him to spend the night in the hospital that night?
More than $5,000?
$5,000.
God damn, dude. Like, so, I mean, let's give a round of applause to Brooke Schofield for, I mean, dude, you almost poisoned your cat. Like, you got to have a little more common sense in that. You can't just be, like, aimlessly floating through life and expecting everybody else to have the answers for you. Like, you have to think for yourself, at least a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here?
And hold my fart like a bong rip.